Ladies and gentlemen, the hairiest and cuddliest comic book movie analyst on the web today, Jonathan May. This is Comic Book Cinema, where we bring you the best comic book movie content.
What's up, comic book movie fans? My name is Jonathan, this is Comic Book Cinema, and today we're going to discuss why Phase 4 is the worst phase. I think one major reason that Phase 4 has not been as good as the prior phases is simply because it seems like Disney puts political agendas and diversity above good storytelling. When you go back and look at the first three phases, there was literally no agendas, just a good time. All the films in those phases weren't trying to preach at us as fans or make us better according to society's standards. They were just giving us fun-filled, action-packed films. And when you look at Phase 4, that's something that Marvel has sacrificed in lieu of, like I said, these agendas. Checking off all the woke political boxes just to appease a certain, very vocal minority of filmgoers. Another big reason that Phase 4 has not met fan expectations is simply because none of these films are connected. When you go back and look at the first phase in the MCU, everything aligned so perfectly. They might have tried to force things to align a little too much in Iron Man 2, but everything was so smooth for the most part. And it led us as fans so beautifully into the first Avengers film. The same thing could be said with Phase 2 and 3 leading all the way up to Infinity War and Endgame. Every other phase ended with an Avengers team-up film. It's kind of weird that they didn't end Phase 4 with something similar. And like I said earlier, every film in Phase 4 feels like a completely different story that has absolutely nothing to do with the prior story or the story that's coming afterwards. Does the Moon Knight seem like it belongs in the same world as Thor, Love and Thunder? Does the Multiverse of Madness seem like it belongs in the same world as the Eternals? No. That's what was so great about the first phase the MCU brought us back in the day. They gave us a crazy, wacky Thor film, a Captain America film that took place in the 40s, a movie about a cocky billionaire, and made it all fit together and culminate in the first Avengers film. Perhaps us comic book movie fans are a little too spoiled at this point, but that's the big question among the community right now. Why can't we see any sort of connection yet? When you look at box office success, there is absolutely no comparison when it comes to Phase 4 versus the other phases. Especially when you take into account how many films were in these first three phases versus how many films were in Phase 4. In Phases 1 through 3, each and every MCU film averaged $1 billion per film. Unfortunately, we can't say the same for the films that came out in Phase 4. Just take a look at the comparison here. These films are successful at the box office, don't get me wrong, but financially they didn't come even close to the success of the films of the first three phases. One item, and this may be the most important item here, quantity isn't always a great thing. In Phase 4, we have gotten more shows and films combined than the first three phases. And the quality level has dipped significantly. I know that Marvel's trying to branch out and do a lot of different things. I personally liked She-Hulk, but the comic book movie going audiences did not. Same thing could be said with Ms. Marvel, The Eternals, Black Widow, the movie that came 4 years too late. These films just aren't on the same caliber as the films that we were getting in these first three phases. Think about this. Remember how excited we all were as an audience before the first Avengers film came out? We had been introduced to these characters, we were made to love those characters, and we could not wait to see what would happen when they teamed up. Is anybody really excited to see the Eternals team up with the Avengers? Honestly, I don't know if I would ever want to see that team ever again in a Marvel film. They were not intriguing. The movie was boring. The director was ill-equipped to bring a movie like that to the big screen. But hey, at least they got two gay dads in there. This kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. There was a lot of boxes checked here, like gay couple, check. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, if there would have been more focus put on the storytelling and the actual script writing, the selection of the director, would this film have been better? I would like to think so. Same thing with the She-Hulk. And like I said on this show before, I do like this show, but I do get why a lot of audiences did not like this show. When you look at the finale was definitely a little underwhelming. And it was almost like Marvel was trying to vilify its own fans, preaching at us, telling us that we're the villains of this film if we don't act and think a certain way. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you know what? Here's my thing with a lot of these Marvel shows that come out on Disney+. The characters are really, really good and fun to watch. Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, heck, even Moon Knight. But the shows themselves are not very good. They're relying heavily on some of these actors like Oscar Isaac, Iman Vellani, super infectious personality, not a very well-established actress before. Obviously, she's only 17 or whatever. But at least Marvel is getting that much right, the casting, in some of these films. But at the end of the day, if Marvel keeps bringing us what they brought us in Phase 4, going forward, the long-standing success and the Excalibur reputation of Disney and Marvel will not only fade, but it will collapse on itself. What do you guys think? How off base am I here? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Check us out on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Real Comic Book Cinema. Check us out on Patreon, iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, anywhere to find podcasts. And until next time, have a good one.